Adam, man, going to start off with a little bit of transfer portal talk today. This isn't for football. This is actually going to be for basketball, so we'll
Okay.
change up on that. As far as I know right now, no real big news kind of going on the football side of things. We're kind of that dead part of the season. Obviously, no transfer
Yep.
portal stuff or anything like that. But basketball, man, Tennessee men's and women's basketball. I'm going to kind of touch on that because we're in that time now. The season's over, so transfer portal's hitting heavy at the moment. And man, Tennessee's been hit by it pretty good with both the men's and the women's. Um, I want to start off actually
Yeah.
and with the women's basketball, just because of something crazy, man, that I was seeing on it for them. Dude, all eight possible returners from the 25 to 26 season is entering the transfer portal for the women's basketball, Tennessee women's basketball.
Jeez.
All eight, man.
Jeez.
I just because I want to start
Mm,
with
mm,
that,
mm, mm.
just to let you know that's just a crate. When I seen that, I knew there were several, and I'd seen some posts going on Facebook, different things today about transfer portal stuff and all that. And so, but
Yeah,
I looked that up
that's
just
wild.
now, and I didn't even want to discuss it with you so you can see like just how wild that kind of is. I mean, dude, that you're
Yeah.
looking at a different team next year completely. Um, and that's just crazy to see that. On the men's side of things, it's not as much. There are going to be some couple key people though. They got four that are transferring out. JP
Yeah.
Estrella, um, if you watch some Tennessee basketball issue, he played quite a bit. Saw an increase in playing time. One I seen today, man, though, is Bishop Boswell as a guard. He started 33 out of 34 games last year. Great defensive player too.
Mm.
Um, that's tough, man. Someone who starts that much, you know, um, typically when you see players leaving, it's for they maybe they're not going to start the next year or they're not going to get as much playing time. And I mean, the guy was getting clearly quite a bit of playing time. I mean, 33 out of 34 starts. Um,
Yep.
and then Cade Phillips, another forward, he's provided a lot of depth there in that front court for us. But he's going to be transferring. And then Clarence Masamba is another guard. Um, so that's the four that we're losing on that. As far as to the transfer portal goes, um, obviously Gillespie and Opara are they're they're going to be graduating, and then
Right.
Nate Ament, he's going to the draft. Supposedly, that's I mean I haven't seen the he's expected to, so there's not been like a clear
Yeah.
on that. And I know it's a lot of
Right.
info to throw at you at once, but the last incoming transfer, we do get someone coming in. Tyler Lundblade, he's a guard. He played for Belmont. He was a shooting guard there. I've heard the dude can shoot though, from some things I've seen. Like I've heard he's got a really good 3-point shot. So, uh,
Yeah.
I honestly a 3-point shooter is something Tennessee I feel like really needed last year too. Someone who could, a true 3-point shooter. So hopefully we'll get a shooter out of him with that. Um, but yeah, man, I threw a lot at you there right off the rip here. What's your thought? What's your thoughts on some of that, man, with this transfer portal and all these people in and out? And
Yeah. So I'll back up and I'll start with the whole women's
yeah,
situation for the Tennessee women's basketball team.
yeah,
They brought Kim Caldwell in as the coach, and I think what you're probably looking at in this type of situation with just the massive amount of roster turnover and
yeah,
players hitting the board and stuff like that, it just doesn't seem like, and maybe even from a fan perspective, not a lot of people are buying into her culture at Tennessee. It doesn't seem like, I mean, it's a huge shadow to live in, right? I mean, you're in
yeah,
the shadow and you're carrying on women's tradition and history of Pat Summit and that name and that image and all that stuff. So it's almost an impossible feat. But yeah, I don't think people are buying into her culture at all. I don't know that players are enjoying playing for her. Now I don't want to say that's concrete evidence or anything. I don't really have too much to
yeah,
back that up, but I mean, you look at the massive roster turnover, like you said, all those players leaving,
yeah,
finishing a 16-14 record this season, losing eight
yeah,
games to end the season. I mean, it's
Yeah,
just it's terrible. It's terrible. So, you know, I'm gonna attribute her leading the culture and players not buying in. I'm gonna attribute all these players leaving to all that,
yeah,
in my opinion.
yeah,
Could be totally wrong on that. You look at the flip side of that thing, and you got Rick Barnes on the men's side of things, and it's obvious that people have bought into that culture. It's obvious that he is
yeah,
carrying on a tradition and finding success. So with success comes buy-in from the players, and when you're not having success, man, in today's world, there's really no
yeah,
loyalty at all whatsoever. You're either competing against a winning culture or you're competing against dollar signs, pretty much, Mike. And
yeah,
it's got to be one of the two factors. When players say they're going to hit
yeah,
the portal, they're either not bought in or they want that money and they're not getting it
yeah,
where they're currently at.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, that's kind of my take on it, and we can riff off that because
yeah.
obviously, you and I've had these conversations before in regards to football, but it's
Mhm.
actually affecting every sport entirely, and
Yeah.
it may actually be at an all time low point for loyalty and tradition and brand and all that.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and I think you got to tell two different or two different tales here with the men's and the women's on why maybe some of these players are
Of course.
leaving. Like you said, the women's
Yep.
side, obviously something was going on wrong, losing the games they did towards the end of the season, and now all
Yep.
eight people that can transferring out. There's that to me does speak an issue, something going on that's um,
Oh yeah.
you know, so there, that clearly just kind of, I think there's evidence there that there's something wrong. Whether that's whose
Yeah.
fault or the coach or something, but there's something wrong in that situation. So I was shocked to see the amount just that from that. But the men's also shocks me
Yep.
because they just got to the Elite Eight three times in a row. Yes, I know they got beat badly by Michigan, but Michigan's done that to everybody this off season, and I think they
Yep.
were making a nice little run in the tournament.
100%.
Players playing good together, and when you see guys that are starters and stuff, and they're transferring, and it's like, man, that's where the loyalty comes in. That either they're not bought in or they're going for the money, and that's where the transfer portal to me, man, is just ruining college sports. And we've talked about it with football in here that there's got to be something to get a hold of this transfer portal and calm this thing down. I'm all for the you get one time. I understand if a situation is terrible somewhere and things you were promised didn't happen, and I still think you should be loyal to a team and stick some stuff out. But I say it's a terrible situation,
Right.
and um, maybe the Tennessee women's situation is a terrible situation where they're wanting to use their transfer portal. Maybe get that one, and I could see that. But dude, you got players coming out of college that's played for, that'll play for three or four teams. You see it in football too. I mean, and
Yeah, that's crazy.
at some point, man, if you're, in my opinion, and we don't know everything, we don't know the personal stuff, and like maybe someone is wanting to move closer to somewhere that's at home due to family issues or anything like that, right? So I'm aware there's a lot of things that could go on, but let's be honest, the majority of it is not that. It's not situations that being closer to home makes it better for them, or that it is a lot of times better. What's going to give me the best chance to shine the most and make the most money, right? And not by working at where you're at, but like let me jump somewhere else. And I just if you were a starter on that men's team last year, it's hard to imagine why you would want to just transfer out when you're a young team. Like
Right.
there's two people that's graduating on that team last year, and that's it.
Yeah.
So and one leaving to go to the draft, and I can understand if you're going to get drafted, and if you feel that you're going to go ahead and enter. I'm not can't hate on someone for doing that. That's stepping up to the next level. So
Right.
I understand that fully, but that team's going to be a young team. You got the coach that could that has proven he can. You're going to get to the tournament most likely. Um,
Yeah.
So it's just hard to see. In my opinion, I mean, I've not really said it much about it, but I just think the transfer portal, man, is ruining college football right now. I'm not going to say NIL just by itself is. I just think that the transfer portal is one of the worst things going on right now. I think the combo with
Yeah.
NIL, obviously, but you need to be able to. You can handle a lot of this if you handle this transfer portal, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. And like we said, it's across all sports. I mean, you're seeing it
Yeah,
everywhere. As far as players leaving and stuff like that kind of early, Mike, I did look this up because I think you and I've been confused on it in the past. But when it comes to college football, players have to have a 3-year minimum being removed from high school graduation. So in
yeah,
college football, you actually have to stick around at least 3 years, and that's a good thing. I think that's a great thing.
I like that. Yeah,
Yeah, it gives players, I think they should potentially stay all 4 years, but at least 3 years
yeah,
gives you some time to grow, gives you some time to mature, maybe find yourself, even just as a person, not even a football player. Um,
yeah,
but basketball is a completely different thing, man. And I think basketball, um, maybe they should take a page out of the rules for football because it's only a 1 year
yeah,
minimum removed from high school graduation. You must be 19 during the calendar year of the draft as well. So that's another stipulation to that rule.
yeah,
Um, so it's called the one and done. And that's pretty much what they call it. They call it the one and
yeah,
done. And obviously, a lot of players have done it. And like you said, if a player wants to do that, fine. You can't really hate on them for that, but all the
yeah,
other people that are leaving for unapparent reasons, you don't see any continuity in college sports anymore. You don't get to
yeah,
see that same group of players form a chemistry and form a bond with each other year in, year out. And that's what,
yeah,
in my opinion, makes true champions. You,
yeah,
you, you got a team that's been together for years and they know exactly what each other are thinking on the
mm,
court, on the field, whatever the case is, man. That right there,
yeah,
chemistry is everything pretty much in team sport,
yeah,
and you're just not getting a lot of that, man. You're not getting a lot of that
yeah.
anymore. It's sad,
And I
really.
think Tennessee style of basketball, man, with tough defense and playing together. I mean, being a team, playing as a team like they do, that was one of their strong suits. So, like, when you had Grant
Right,
Williams and all of them that played together and his team for several years,
right.
and just having those teams get to know each other real well, know how each other play
Yep.
really well together, man. That's how I mean that for a lot of teams could say that too, but I just speaking off of Tennessee, I know that was something that Barnes is able to do. I feel like is build a team
Hmm.
together pretty well. So when you have to
Yep.
try to do that on a 1 year basis, man, it's just hard to get that together. Um, and yeah, the guys that are going to the draft, like you said, I understand why they're doing that. But I'll be okay if the rule changed at least 2 years in basketball. I mean, basketball, I
Yep.
guess you could argue that you could be ready to go into the pros a little bit more than you could on the football level of trying to build, physically. So, um, I just, if anything, 2 years. They give players at least a
Yeah.
couple of years before they go to the draft. Play their freshman and sophomore years. Um, so I'd like to at least see that. But yeah, I mean,
Yep.
man, the portal, it's a 15-day window, so we'll see how this thing goes, man. They might
Yeah.
have to really start bringing some people in, but like I said, the
Yeah.
men's they've definitely lost some too. I'd like brought one in so far, so I'd like to see them get a couple in. The women's,
Oh
man,
yeah.
whatever's going on, I hope that gets worked out, and because that's I mean, dude, that's a winning culture over there at the Tennessee women's basketball, man. So you don't want to see that.
One
I
hundred
hate to see it
percent.
go down too long, and hopefully it all gets figured out and the right things happen over there. Something's got to be looked at though. When you lose that many players, and that puts a lot of pressure on the coach, man. Because the first thing that
Yeah.
gets looked at is losing 8 games in the season like that, losing all your players that could transferring out. That I feel like automatically puts you in a hot seat. Um,
Oh yeah.
just off that
Without
alone.
question.
So we'll
Without
see how
question.
that rolls on
Yeah.
that. But
Touching back on that one and done scenario in college basketball and
yeah,
obviously leaving early in football to go to the NFL and stuff like that, you
yeah,
used to be able to make the argument if you didn't agree with that. You used to be able to make the argument that play people that young or players that young aren't ready for the responsibility of the big time money and money
Yeah,
management and financially smart decisions. You used to be able to
yeah,
make that argument, but now 9 times out of 10, if they were a really good player, they're making way more money in college legally, I'll add. Um,
yeah, yeah,
that they would make in their first year as an NFL or an NBA player. So, you like I said,
yeah,
you used to be able to make that argument, but you can't even make that argument anymore. So you might as well just live with it.
yeah. Because unless you're like up there, I mean, I think first round draft picks get pretty good. I know in that top
Right.
like up there draft picks obviously get quite a bit more, but like yeah, down in later rounds, man, you could be making more in college, college sport for
Yeah.
that year, depending on what you got from it, and maybe you would
Yeah.
be after your draft, in your rookie year on a rookie contract or something. But
Oh yeah.
it's wild to think about, man. Um,
It's so crazy.
it is, man.
They say
Hey,
they
man,
say money's the root of all evil, Michael.
that's what they say. Hey man, speaking of all this money and all this contract, somebody that I think needs to get a contract, fairly local to our area, man, Mac McClung. That's a guy that I think
Yeah.
that deserves a shot, man. More than like the 10 minutes. I've seen a lot of people talk about, well, he's had some shit. Playing 10 minutes in one basketball game, maybe two NBA games. I mean, he's played in like I think maybe 11, 10, 11, somewhere around there. But when you play
Yeah.
in one game, you get about 10 minutes in, you're not going to get a true time to like settle in. You know what I mean? Like if he had I feel like if he could just have a season where he was assigned on a contract, um, for a whole season, guaranteed contract, you're on the team, and he could have a year to really try to get himself established. You know what I mean? And get a little bit of playing time and yeah, and try to get that down and get settled in. I think he really could be. I mean, I think he's deserving to be on an or NBA team, and it all
Yep.
comes from the G League, man, and his accomplishments. And one of the reasons I want to bring him up, I mean, he just got the most, he's got the record for the G League points, man. The most points in the G League belongs to Mac McClung, and if you look it up, it'll say combine the G League's tip-off tournament, regular season, and playoffs across, for his 5 seasons in the league. He's got 5,335 points, and he's got the most points for that. Also, he just got G League MVP again this year. That's his second year getting a G League MVP. He's won
Yep.
a G League championship. He was Rookie of the Year in the G League, and he's the three-time dunk contest champion. Would have been four if he'd have done it this year. I understand why he didn't. Um, do love that
Yeah.
he released the dunks after the dunk contest. Like I was practicing, but just kind of showing, that hey, yeah, I could have easily won this year's dunk. He would have won this year. Wouldn't have even been close, dude. I watched some of the stuff.
Yeah.
He would have won that one so easily with the dunks he did that I mean, you might as well after the first couple dunks just hand him the trophy and just went ahead and for, forfeited the thing and said it was done.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, man, what do you think? That's some accomplishments, dude. That's a list of
And,
accomplishments. G League or
yeah.
not?
100. Yeah. 100%, man. I mean, like you said, back to back MVPs. The fact that he is the all time leading scorer in the G League is mind blowing, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible. Last month he had that 59-point performance. That was
Oh yeah.
absolutely crazy. And he has had so with the Chicago Bulls, it seems like this is the team that's given him the most opportunity, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
He signed a 1-year two-way contract with Chicago Bulls in February of this year. He has been appearing for the Bulls, playing against the Raptors and the Knicks, and is fighting for rotation minutes. But realistically, man, I mean, he's not getting hardly any minutes at all.
Yeah.
Um, it says Mac McClung has been modestly productive in his actual NBA regular season appearances, but the sample is very small. 9 career games
Yeah.
in on an NBA roster, all off the bench. 5.8 points, 2 rebounds, and 1.6 assists per games, and that's 12 minutes on average per time he's played. So
Yeah.
I mean, getting decent production, given the amount of
Yeah,
the small amount of opportunity that he's been given.
yeah,
Um, but honestly, man, in situations like this, it may not be his goal, and it may not be his dream, and it may not bring as much prestige to him personally. But honestly, man, the hate that he's receiving, and the kind of the brushing off attitude that the NBA's kind of given him. Man, if I was Mac McClung, I would have packed my bags, probably went to the Euro League, maybe played in some
yeah,
Japan leagues. And like I said, that might not even
yeah.
be anything he wants to do, but
Right.
he would probably get much more appreciated over there, much more love over there, probably get to
Yeah,
shine even more over there. But
yeah,
you know, it's probably not his dream. His dream, I
yeah,
imagine, without question, is to play in the NBA on a regular basis, and
yeah,
hopefully, at some point before the kid gets out of his prime. I mean, you got to think
yeah,
at a certain point he's going to be a little too old, maybe.
yeah,
I know he's super young. Don't get me wrong. I'm not jumping ahead of
yeah,
myself here, but at a certain point, if he just keeps getting passed over and passed over and passed over, he's going to hit an
yeah.
age point where nobody wants him, regardless.
Right.
And I hope he does get that time, because he deserves it, man. The numbers
Yeah.
speak for themselves, and what he's done in the G League is absolutely undeniable.
Yeah, man. And something you said, it is his goal to get an NBA. He's talked in interviews about that and stuff, and I think he's even
Right.
talked about how. I mean, I've seen things where it said he's passed up, $1 million contract in Euro leagues and stuff, and he
Yeah.
does have the sponsorships, and I know he's got like I think Puma and some other sponsors and stuff. That I'm sure he's getting money from outside of just G League money. So he's
Right.
definitely got some money off some of this stuff. But if I was him, though, yeah, I think this year, I would definitely see what next year's got in store because of just the insane amount of scoring he done, especially at the end of it. I think he did catch some
Yeah.
attention. I've seen little rumor stuff, but I mean, like you
Right.
said, a 59-point game, man, it set the Windy City franchise record. Um, and some of these games too,
Yeah. It's
man, he was
nuts.
having, double doubles and stuff in some of these big games. I don't know that he did on
Right.
that one, but like, some of the 40-point games and 50, that's
Yeah.
like his second 50-point game he'd had there. And so I think, winning it again, doing everything you could have possibly done at this point in the G League, getting the G League scoring record, doing all this, I think I
Yeah.
would see now, okay, what am I going to get next year? Do I get a fair shot? And if I didn't get a fair shot and I got stuck back in the G League, I'm seeing what's going on over there in Europe, man, and seeing who wants to sign me over there. If I and, ultimately at the end of the day, I got to respect it for wanting to do what he's wanting to do. I'm sure he's had people tell him that. I mean, why don't you just go sign? And I've kind of been understanding. I've kind of understood that though too, wanting to make it. But I feel like that this year, it's like if you
Right.
don't make it after this year, you've done everything you possibly can in the G League. So
100%.
dude, and sometimes people come from the European leagues and stuff, and I mean, LaMelo Ball, dude, didn't even go to college. He just went over to the European league, played for a couple of years, and is in the NBA starting. I mean, I'm not saying they're
Right.
you, you know comparing them to or anything. I'm just saying like you can go over to the European league and still get back in the NBA if you do really
Yes.
well. So
100%.
so for
Yeah. I mean, look at how many players come from the Euro League, man. I mean,
yeah,
the NBA rosters are filled with them.
yeah,
So it's an
yeah,
option. It's an option, and
oh yeah.
it's an alternate path if the path that he's on right now isn't working.
Right. And that's what I said. I think you look at it this year, maybe see what happens. And I've seen a lot of things. I hear a lot of things about him being undersized and on the defensive side of things, but he always is working, man. The guy apparently his work ethic's insane from things I've seen, and he always seems to improve at what they tell him to improve on. And
Yeah.
but I still just I can't imagine there's not a spot for him on a roster somewhere in the NBA, on
Right. Yep.
some team,
Yep.
on even on the bench, somewhere. I would just imagine would just there has to be a spot for someone who, if you give it a little bit of time, I think if you let him get rolling, dude, he can definitely score you some points. And we
Yeah,
are kind of, obviously, where we live is like about 15 minutes from Gate City at this point. We're both,
yeah,
Southwest Virginia growing up, guys. Now I live in East Tennessee, so we're in that area to where we are kind of.
yeah.
Maybe I'm a little biased about things, rooting for him and everything, but
Of
I just
course.
think that. But outside of that, just looking at the numbers, man, I feel like it's there to give
Yeah,
him some type of opportunity. You know,
yeah, yeah. You're right. And the thing about it is, even if we were on the outside looking in, I mean, even if we weren't from
yeah,
this area, all someone has to do, like you said, is look at the numbers.
yeah,
I mean, uh, 29.5 points per game. I think that is tip off tournament plus regular season combined this year.
yeah,
7.6 assists per game. So almost averaging a double double. I know you said he got a bunch of double doubles this year, but almost
yeah,
averaging one. Snagging 3.5 rebounds per game. Now, and some of these numbers, if you look at all the years that he's been in the G League, I mean, some of them, the points definitely gradually increase. The rebounds are kind of a little bit all over the place. The assists gradually increase. So the kid's getting better. The kid's obviously getting
yeah,
better. He's honing in his skills. And what you said, Mike, is exactly right. There has to be somewhere on an NBA roster. There has to be a place for him somewhere. And I don't think either one of us are sitting here trying to plead the case that he should be an NBA starter by any means.
yeah,
But NBA NBA rosters, successful NBA rosters, are always comprised of a good
yeah,
core group of five starters, and then you always have massive role players that can come off the bench, get
yeah.
you out of a drought, create an instant spark as soon as they come
Yeah.
off the bench.
And he has that athletic ability
Valuable
to do that.
minutes, man.
Yeah,
Yeah, he has the ability to provide someone in the NBA consistent, valuable minutes. And
yeah,
I don't think that that's a question. I don't think that anyone should
yeah,
question that whatsoever.
yeah. I agree, man. And yeah, I hope the best though for him. Been rooting for him the whole time, so I hope
Yeah,
that next year he's given that true contract to give a chance. I think that'll be a thing. Get a contract that's not no two-way, not no just a standard contract to where
right.
that guaranteed for at least a year or something, to where you don't have to have that on your back of like, well, at least I got to prove in these 8 minutes they're going to give me this game that I can
Right.
score 25 points. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, at this point,
Right.
that's all I know he can do is just get in the game for 8 minutes and somehow score 20 points and get himself like a couple rebounds and a couple steals and get about
Yep.
seven assists in the 8 minutes of play time he's getting. You know what I mean? So uh,
Yeah.
I guess just go off. Just that's
Yeah.
what's gonna have to happen. You know,
Well, the thing about it is, Mike, is like someone knows that he's good because the G League in his time in the G League, dude, he's an absolute workhorse. I mean,
yeah,
averaging 32 minutes a game, 35 minutes a game, 35 minutes a game,
yeah,
36 minutes a game this year, 36
yeah,
minutes a game a couple years ago. I mean, and look at the success that his G League team had this year. If you take away his 36 minutes and those points per game, they don't have near the success.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So his impact in the G League's been phenomenal. It actually has
And I
people
know,
talking about the G League. I mean, I've never
yeah,
really even talked about the G League before
yeah.
he got in there.
Exactly, man. And I know the G League's not the NBA. Everybody's going to be like, well, there's just the different levels of this, and I get that. But you would think the best player in the G League would have a chance to be on a roster, just in my opinion.
100%.
But I mean,
100%.
I would go as far as say Max the G League GOAT at this point as of right now. I mean,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
he's got a little
Well,
bit of everything going
and
for him.
And before it was called the G League, they called it the D League, the developmental league. It was
Yeah,
designed to develop young players and players that didn't get an
yeah,
opportunity earlier in their career to eventually make it to the NBA. It is
yeah,
supposed to be a feeder program to the NBA.
yeah,
So it makes no sense that you hold back the best player in the G League and not give
yeah.
him the opportunity to make it to the big leagues.
Right.
This just makes no sense whatsoever.
Definitely, definitely, man. But we'll see what happens. And like I said, hopefully, hopefully
Yep.
he'll get his opportunity, man. I really really hope he does. And of course, anybody that's watching us, from our area too, you're aware of him. Most people are aware of him, but anybody still watching at this point, thanks, as always for watching us, helping support us. Just make sure to like and subscribe. It helps us out. But what's your
Yep.
thoughts? You think, Mac, what team do you think Mac could be on? There we go. I hope he goes to the Bulls just because I'm a Bulls fan. But I
Yep.
was, it would just be cool to see him on there. I don't know that roster makes the most sense with the guards they have, but it'd be cool to see. But yeah,
Right.
what team do you think he should go on? And back to the transfer portal stuff earlier. If you have any, what's y'all's thoughts on that? Comment on that too. You think we should have like some type of limit on that? Cap it? Can't only transfer once? Maybe some people don't think you can transfer at all unless you get a NCAA approved like it used to be.
Yeah.
Or sit out a year when you transfer. So that's something
Yep.
too.
I'm not opposed to either one of those at all.
No, no. I think setting out a year is not a bad idea. Give a little punishment for transferring, But um,
Yeah.
I don't know, Adam. You got anything you want to add, man?
Yeah, well, I do want to bring up one more thing, Mike, and
Yeah,
it's what I'm doing this Saturday. So Tennessee
yeah,
Vol fans, football is officially kind of back this Saturday. The orange and white game is taking place at 2 o'clock at Neyland Stadium. Um, I've been to a handful of these things. Sometimes they're kind of fun, sometimes they're a little boring. They do have a lot of
yeah,
pageantry and fan experience type stuff outside the stadium before the game actually starts and stuff like that. But the cool thing about it this year is, man, for the first time, I am taking my 3-year-old little daughter to the orange and white game. So this will be a cool experience for me, my wife, the family.
oh yeah,
It'll be really interesting to see how she likes it. I mean, she sings Rocky
yeah,
Top all the time. She associates orange as a color to Rocky Top. So I'm as a dad and all that. I'm super excited to see how that goes down
yeah,
this weekend. Cool thing about it too, Mike, is it's free this year for all the fans. I know in the past they've
yeah,
charged $5 for a ticket or something like that. Admission is completely free this year, so I figure even if we get in there with her and she doesn't like it or it's too loud or she starts crying or something, worst case scenario, we leave
yeah,
and go find something good to
yeah.
eat in Knoxville or something.
Oh
So
yeah. Still
either
nice
way, I
trip to
think it's going
Knoxville.
to be a win-win. Yeah, it's going to be
Yeah,
fun. But like I said, every time that orange and white game rolls around every year, man, that's how you know you're a little bit closer.
yeah,
I'll get to see firsthand, and I'll bring a firsthand opinion and
yeah,
analysis, I guess you could say, to the next episode on that quarterback battle, man, because I know that they're going to put on a show. Hopefully, air some passes out.
yeah.
Um,
I'm
I might have a better gauge on it, man, next time I talk to you about who I think is going to be the
yeah.
starter.
Yeah, I'm excited for that, man. I think definitely by our next podcast, we'll have some info on that and have to discuss that,
Yep.
man. Because I'm excited to see what you're gonna be able to really see in person and some of the stuff that you'll gather from that. Hey, excited for you to go with your
Yep.
family, your daughter to have her first experience going to the
Oh yeah.
Neyland Stadium. That'll be a good warm up to see for the regular season. Um, to see for her going to her first actual game and stuff too. I feel like that'd be a
Oh
good
yeah.
warm up for you. Um,
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
man, I'm definitely excited to see what you got, what your take is going to be on that. Because you'll, like you said, you'll get to see some stuff right there in person. A little insight on how it may go this year for sure. So, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Yep.
so
Always exciting.
yeah, absolutely. And if you're, again, tune in on the next one because we'll definitely talk about that some. So we'll have a little football talk coming up with that at least to have a it may not be a whole lot, but just something to see with this QB battle that's going to keep going. It'll definitely be some
Oh
insight
yeah.
on it on that. But well, man, I think that's all I got really. I think it kind of covers everything. Unless you got anything else you want to throw out there, man.
Nope. Just subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thanks for supporting us if you already have, and guess we'll catch you on the next one.
Absolutely, it's been fun as always, man. I'll see you, Adam.
All right. Take care, bro.